Yoram is from Amsterdam, and Yoram believes that startup data should not only come from the US, from, you may know, PitchBooks or CB Insight. He has actually a very, very competitive product himself, which is being used by lots of funds. Maybe you introduce, Yoram, what you offer?
Yeah, sure. So we started 5 years ago. We're based in Amsterdam. We offer data and research and analytics to mainly corporate clients. We have clients all over the world, like McKinsey, Boston Consulting Group, Google, Stripe, a lot of Silicon Valley firms, tech companies, but also traditional firms that are looking to innovate. And they use our data really to identify new growth opportunities. We have a SaaS application with a monthly subscription plan. We have an API, and then on top of it, we provide a lot of research services, which are a bit like the investment banking type of research that you used to get from banks, but they're not anymore really focused on that, so we provide that service.
Where do you get your data from?
So we do some AI. We scrape the web in 30 different languages, in all European languages, also in Israeli, Russian, and you name it. We convert it into a spreadsheet.
How many websites you scrape?
100.
100.
Yeah.
And if you compare yourself to the US platforms, do you have better data on the Europeans?
Much better. So what we hear from clients is that they really feel like these US platforms are like just skimming the surface in Europe, and they're missing a lot. They're only doing English language. And just missing like 10–15% can be a huge deal. I mean, I saw the other day one of our US competitors was doing a report on food delivery, and they just left out Just Eat.
Maybe because they're already so big.
Yeah, maybe. But it was like the top 10, so.
Oh, well, we all do mistakes.
Sure.
So let's talk about the European startup scene. I think no one in Europe has more data and looked at more companies than you. What's your view on Europe versus the US? Is the gap widening to digital the US? Do we have a chance?
No, yeah, definitely. I think the gap is narrowing, and the data.
It's narrowing.
Yeah. The data is also showing that. Of course, you know, if you just focus on the really big tech, it is still the US, and you saw this from the presentation from Klaus. But absolutely, the gap is narrowing. You see faster and faster new unicorns coming out. The venture capital ecosystem is really maturing. Now, almost every new unicorn is VC backed, and if you look like 5–10 years ago, most of them were actually not.
Like TeamViewer wasn't, for example, who just has been on stage.
Yeah.
You're doing like a lot of data also on investors.
Yes.
So if I would invest into venture capital, who makes more money, the US or the European VCs? Have you looked at the IRRs?
No, so actually we don't. So we don't calculate IRRs. But I think the deal room platform is used a lot by LPs because it gives actually a current view on who is performing. So if you can easily see, okay, who is actually backing the most unicorns, who has recently done a lot of exits, and who is really well positioned to do well in the future.
So it's good. It's even more important knowing what the historical IRRs was is good, but to know how they're going today, since you invest for the future, is even better.
Yeah, absolutely. But we don't have data on Europe versus US, but IRRs in Europe are definitely improving.
And do you hear complaints by European startups that they have limited access to capital? Or are these just the ones who shouldn't get funded?
Exactly, yeah. It's a bit like school children complaining that the exams are hard, I think. Yeah.
Okay. Got you. What recommendations you have for entrepreneurs? What is like the #1 mistake you see, or on the fundraising in particular? We talked about with SoftBank, how to approach them. What tips do you have for fundraisings? We used to work together at Lehman Brothers, by the way, for many years.
Well, I think the guys who get SoftBank to invest don't need the tips from me how to do fundraising. But for the earlier stage, my #1 tip is to be really upfront and honest. I think especially when you're in a seed stage, maybe your business isn't exploding, and you see in the news it feels like everybody is growing very fast, so you feel pressure to make it seem that way. But I think it's really important to just be extremely upfront and transparent about your numbers, and VCs will appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm very transparent and upfront. We're running a little bit behind time. Is there anything you want to share? I mean, how much does a product cost? Let me start that way. And who are your customers, and what's the best way to check your platform? Do you have like a free trial we can offer to our attendees?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a free trial, especially if you just go to our website, dealroom.co. You can just see that and sign up for free. You can also contact me directly through LinkedIn. My name is in the program.
And through NOAH Connect, you can also.
Through NOAH Connect, absolutely. And finally, for early stage VCs, we have a special program that we're going to announce next week. That's a deeply discounted rate, so you really just pay around 30 euros per month per user, something like that, if you also share your data with us. And your fund size needs to be below 100 million.
Right. Interesting. So they give you something, and you give something back. Yep. We had a lot of unicorns on stage, which is the #1 conference with unicorns presenting. Who are your kind of top 2 future unicorns out of your view? You have like some personal favorite?
Like that are not unicorn yet, but probably Flixbus is really good. And it seems maybe logical to say SumUp, because I saw they have really good metrics and almost as big as iZettle. So
yeah, well, one payment, fintech, one mobility, our 2 largest segments. Yoram, thank you so much. We'll make sure you check out all your platform.
Okay, thank you.